But that's.
We're good, Jay.
All right, let's call this meeting to order. Let's have a roll call, please.
Jay.
Here?
Penny. Here. Wendy. Cole. Here. Sarah. Here. Christy. Here. Al. Jan.
Here.
John. Here. Me and Jessica.
Thank you. Should we do public input at this point, or should we wait and down on the line a little bit?
We'll wait till it says
Okay.
citizen input.
The agenda has been provided. Are any additions or corrections to that agenda other than the information that was handed to us as we walked in about the additions to the passenger handbook? If not, a motion is in order.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
Moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the last meeting we had a couple months ago. It too was provided in the information that was handed or emailed to us. Any additions or corrections? I hear none. A motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as presented. Discussion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Transit subrecipient risk assessment. I guess that's going to be one of the staff. Talk to us.
Yes, the South Dakota Department of Transportation, their internal services and audits does a risk assessment on our program and our compliances. And we are a low-risk entity, and we pass with flying colors. They do this annually, and just an update that we are again considered low risk.
Thank you. Good information. Anything else? That doesn't need a motion, does it?
Nope.
Let's go on to the next item then. Transit software update. Are we coming on that old project?
So great news, we have launched our new spare transit dispatch software. We launched it on August 14th, and there's been a lot of work with it. We are currently working on building different reports and learning how to do that through the new system. We are working out different bugs, and the developers have been wonderful. They're kind of developing the system to fit our needs, our wants, whereas previously we had to adjust our system to fit the software. So it's nice that they're fitting our wants and needs. We're very happy with that. But again, there are bugs. There are things we're working out. It has been a learning process. There's some of the changes include before you would schedule a ride at a certain time, and we would always do a 30-minute before your pickup, or before your arrival time pickup, and then there was a 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after. Now with this new software, because it does the routing for us and it does optimization, it gives you an option to do an arrive-by time. So if you have a 11 o'clock appointment, you can do a 10:50 arrive-by time, just to make sure you're on your appointment on time. Or you can do a leave-by time. Say you get off work at 3 and it'll take you 5 minutes to go out, you can do a 3:05 leave-by time. So you get the option now. Another thing that passengers are really happy with was we have an app. The app has been wonderful. People can schedule their own rides. They can cancel their own rides. It's kind of like Lyft or Uber, where you can see your bus, where it's at. If it's coming, it'll show you your bus number. So say bus 747 is coming, and I have the advertising on there, so it'll be the Montgomery's Furniture bus, and your bus driver will be John. That's what will show up on your app. So it's nice that you can see all that information. Parents like that so they can see where their kids are, if the bus is arriving or not arriving. Again, you can cancel or schedule your ride on that app. It's been a fun change. It's been a hard change too, a lot of learning curves and changes, but overall, we're generally happy with it.
All right. Next item. Some more Palace Transit shopping hours.
So to go along with the routing software, the new routing software, we have removed our shopping hours. Before, you could only go to Walmart at a certain time and leave at a certain time. You could only go to the grocery stores at a certain time. With this new software, it's optimizing continually, so it will allow us to go to those locations at any time that's needed. So that's been extremely helpful. Passengers, again, like the flexibility because they had different appointments, they couldn't schedule appointments because they could only go shopping during these certain times. Especially with the growth that's happening on the south side of town with Menards and all these other things down there, Avera, it's been handy to go down there as often as we need to. So it's been nice being able to remove those shopping hours, not only for staff, but also for our passengers especially. That was just an update.
Okay, thank you. It took a lot of reading to do the next one for me. I don't know about the rest of you. But South Dakota statewide coordinated public transit handbook services transportation plan.
Actually, do you want to do the handbook first?
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. Number 8 on the agenda shows the passenger handbook. On the passenger handbook, we have gone through and updated and changed things with how it's just kind of basic house cleaning. We haven't done this for 2 years, so it's time with the new software to update and make sure everything is consistent and proper for our passenger handbook. And I think I brought it up last meeting that I'd be bringing this. So I'll go through it, each one at a time. Feel free to stop me on each one, and if there's any changes or suggestions you'd like to make, this is just changes and suggestions made by staff. And the first one on the first page is our new website address. We just updated it to match what our new city website is. And then down below is our today's date for the approval date. Any questions on page 1? Page 2, the first one, you can see it is 8 o'clock. That is updated to the current time that we are currently operating. And then Sunday, eliminating the 7 a.m. to 1:15 and changing the 2:15 to 2 o'clock. There is no longer a break needed during that time, and that is currently what we are operating. We are operating from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. We also are eliminating where it says last pickup is at 7:30, last pickup's at 3:30, and last pickup's at 1:30. And that's due to our new operating system. They can determine those times. We don't have to worry about if our driver will get out or not because we can put that information in and the system will determine when the last pickup and drop off will be within our regulations. Any questions, changes on that? Okay. The next one is same-day rides. We are currently operating at $10 per one-way trip at all times. Due to federal regulations, we have to be, if there is a taxi in town, we have to be at or above what they are going to operate at. And that's Monday through Friday. We'd like to add that to just Monday through Friday and then increase the Saturday and Sunday one-way trips to $15 per one-way trip. And that's due to increased costs, and there's no dispatch to input that information while those trips are happening. And that's on to the drivers writing out all the information, then we have to transfer that information to the computer. So that was a suggestion we would like. Any comments on that?
Excuse me, when you say one-way trip, do you mean out of town?
Nope, this is for a same-day trip.
It's in town?
It can be in town, yes, and then if you're out of town, it'd include mileage with that.
Okay.
So again, this is to hope people pre-schedule all their rides. Okay. And then on the no services provided on the following holidays, these were previously approved but never put in the handbook, but they're on our city website. The Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, and Native American Day, they have been what we've been operating for the last several years, but and they're on the website, they just were not in the handbook, so that's a cleanup we found. And then where it says limited services will be provided, we added, and the office will be closed. And we added that wording just to eliminate some confusion because people still call the office when they need to be calling the cell phone on those 2 days that we have limited services. Any questions on that? The next one is children under the age of 3 currently do not have to pay as long as they ride for free with a paying parent or guardian. We'd like to add that and remove adult, and then excluding daycare/childcare providers. And we are changing that due to daycare providers utilizing that as a group trip. So a daycare would take their group of 6 3-year-olds, and the 3-year-olds wouldn't have to pay. So that's why we're excluding that wording of adult and adding parent or guardian. And then for daycare codes, they have to pay for those 3-year-olds if they go on a group trip.
What if a daycare provider needs to take one child somewhere to like an appointment? Then they will not be able to according to this change.
Yep. Good question, yeah.
That's a potential issue in my opinion.
As well as the grandparent.
Would that be guardian, though?
Grandparent.
Grandparent?
Guardian, I take my grandkids to their therapy all the time.
Okay,
Something about
yep.
Something might occur at meetings, so,
That's why it's good that we're bringing it up.
yeah.
If our biggest concern was groups.
Could you leave the language the same and just throw on a sentence at the end that says this excludes groups? Something to that effect?
So leave it as adult.
This excludes group trips, including not limited to daycare providers, school teachers in classroom, I don't know, something like that. That way it's not exhaustive, but you at least cover the concerns you have.
Yes, I like that. This excludes group trips.
Including but not limited to.
Sounds like water trees.
Yep. Into daycare, childcare providers. Okay, I like that wording.
Read it to us as you have it now.
So it would say, children under the age of 3 may ride for free with a paying adult. Then another sentence, this excludes group trips, including but not limited to daycare/childcare providers.
So I guess another question to clarify, so like what if a mom wants to get on with her 2 and 3-year-old, they're both free then?
Yep,
Is there under 3? That's all under 3?
correct.
Yep, okay.
Anything else on that? That was great, thank you. The next one is the adding of, if an item is lost or left on the bus, adding, make sure that's during office hours, because we've had people contact saying, hey, can we come get it on Saturday? No, the office is closed. And then when the schedule allows, adding that wording, and then changing it from $5 to $10 transportation fee, because that'd be consistent as a same-day ride if they want us to deliver it. So they can come to the office and pick it up for free, or during office hours, or they can pay the $10 same-day ride fee.
If they're riding like the next day and you're gonna pick them up anyway.
That's fine, yeah. Yep.
The $10 will say if it'll be delivered?
To deliver that item, yes. Yep. So like in the case of a cell phone or a wallet, if they want it delivered to their house, they're going to have to pay the $10 instead. It's $5 now. We're just increasing it to the exact same fare as a same day. The next portion might be a little confusing. Our new software, what it does is it does different mileage calculations. Before, we used to calculate the miles when you're going out of town, or out of city limits, I should say, out of city limits. We used to calculate that per mile from city limits to that location. Well, the system, and we used to do that manually in the office. The system won't allow us to put a barrier up saying, okay, we're in town, now start calculating mileage. So we ran a lot of scenarios, and we found the best way to do it now is start calculating the mileage from the time they get picked up. So say they get picked up within city limits and they're going outside of city limits, then you'll pay the regular fee, plus we're changing it to $1 per mile, since you have in-town mileage and out-of-town mileage. It comes out to close to what we were doing before.
Less or more? What? Is it less or more?
It's actually really close to what it was. It's not really, if it's anything, it's not less, it's more than what it was. But the calculations we worked out with the people that we've transported, it comes out to,
About the same cost, bottom line.
right.
Yep. Yeah, just about any place that you start your mileage in Mitchell, you will be out of town in a mile.
Right.
That's a good scenario. So if you have out-of-town people questioning, that's a point you might want to make,
Yep.
so.
So if somebody gets picked up at the Corn Palace, gets transferred to 3 miles outside of town, their in-town rate would apply,
Correct.
and then out of town would be calculated.
Everything is,
It may be calculated from the moment you leave the Corn Palace. So whatever miles, so it'd be your regular rate, which would be the $2, plus the $3 for the out-of-town for the 3 miles, plus whatever there is in town too, and that'd be approximately $2 to $3 there.
So I'm wondering if that should be clarified somehow in that sentence. Yeah.
That's why we put in there any rides traveling beyond the city limits. That was the clearest way we can come up with. Unless you can come up with something, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So are there ever any people that need rides to the airport in Sioux Falls?
No. Well, a lot of those, if they do, we have coordinated with Jefferson Lines because they go through, and we've also coordinated with River Cities Transit and People's Transit. Most of our out-of-town rides are very limited to just a few daycares that are just outside city limits. And then the 4-H grounds. That's most of our out-of-town trips.
so if you got somebody that lives in Mount Vernon, doesn't have transportation and needs to get to the doctor on a regular basis, they'll call you guys.
Correct.
Yep.
And we've had it where people from Fletcher have contacted and had to go to the doctor, and that way we've definitely had that. Okay. Page 3. Number 3, we added, all walkers and wheelchairs must be properly secured by the vehicle, to the vehicle by the operator. We added that, so walkers and wheelchairs and other items don't become projectiles in case of an accident or a fast stop. Just don't want them to become projectiles towards the driver or our passengers, so make sure they're properly secured. On number 4, we added wheelchairs, walkers, and other passengers will take precedence over shopping bags. That has become a challenge lately because people are they have shopping carts. They're not carts, but they're little wagon type deals that they're bringing onto the bus with their shopping items. And then they are expecting us to utilize a wheelchair or walker restraint location to secure their shopping cart, per se, in that location. We just want them to know that walkers and wheelchair passengers will take precedence over their items, and their items will have to go into a seat, and they'll have to secure their shopping cart.
Okay, you have shopping bags. You suppose you should put / carts?
Yeah. Well, do we want to use the word carts because we don't allow carts on the bus?
So are these the wagons that are 4 wheels that
They have those. They also have like the 2-wheel dolly type systems with boxes on them. It's not a shopping cart per se. That's a good point. Do we want to say over
Shopping?
carry-on items?
Apparatus or or vehicles or whatever.
Could you just say something like carry-on or something?
Over
like that?
carry-ons?
Any type of extra baggage, something to that effect?
For carts.
Yeah. If you don't want to put cart, then.
You're going on to confuse with shopping carts with the ones that you find in
Right.
Marts and
Right.
grocery stores, so. Good
Because
luck on defining
bags, to me, that's.
Right, you're thinking bags, yes, right,
In your hold.
yeah. I like the idea of over carry-on.
Something like, yeah. Or any extra baggage or something, I don't know.
How do you want me to word it?
Um,
Mr. Attorney,
Mr. Attorney?
you got a good word for that?
Other than bags, you mean? Or as,
Could we do precedence over shopping carry-on items,
or just carry-ons?
carry-ons?
That would include strollers too. wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
It would,
That's a good idea.
that is a good idea.
People from out of town from the back end, like medical bags, medication. I know we have people in drug court who bring medication.
Yep.
in their bags, and so.
But that would just be carry-on.
Yeah, it's a, yeah.
Carry, they can actually still carry them.
The biggest thing is those other items that people want secured in a wheelchair location, and then we stop to pick up a wheelchair person, and there's no room for that wheelchair person.
Are oxygen tanks secured or not?
Yes,
Yes. That would be part of.
Yes.
the admin.
that's in later. How about precedence over carry-ons and wheeled devices?
Yeah. For
There you go.
transportation.
Non-essential carry-on.
Is there a different word than devices? Wheels,
Wheeled carrying? Or just say carry devices,
transporting.
transportate, no, because if you think of that, you think of wheelchairs and,
Could you put something to the effect that anything in excess of what's on your person? You know, that they have like maybe a purse, which, I mean, they could hold it on
we
their
do
own.
have a rule on the shopping, because it says here, you must limit your packages and bags to no more than 1 seat of space in the area of the floor in front of the seat out of consideration of all customers.
Okay.
It does say that. But what they're doing is they have that much, but it's just easier and faster for them to put them in a, like I said, a wheeled cart, and then we can secure it. It definitely is great, but then we've had the instance, well, now I have a wheelchair passenger, I have to secure, and the spot's already being taken. So in those instances, we make them take their stuff out of their carrying device, put it in the seat beside them, so they're still following the rules.
Sounds like that'll work.
Right, that's why we're trying to come up with the wording for that.
Yeah.
We can just say,
Just the carry-on, not on this.
right. We can just do carry on, I'm okay with that. And if they have questions, we'll just,
Yeah.
well, instead of shopping bags, we'll just change it to carry-ons. On good?
Yeah, I can't think.
Okay, perfect. And then the next one, number 7, we added about the smoking, vaping, and all that, chewing tobacco. We added or within 25 feet of the transit vehicle or at the James Valley Community Center drive-up window, and we added that per federal regulation 397.13. So that was an add to meet federal regulations. On number 9, we added with a paying parent or responsible guardian, And then that's just
Say paying parent responsible guardian or no.
for adult. And then we added the word paying as a clarification. Okay,
But then how come they can write, okay, they can write through with somebody else paying?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
yes. Well, we're also adding that they have to ride with an adult, essentially.
Yeah.
Number 11, we added shoes are required to be worn by all ambulatory passengers. This is for a security reason, a safety reason, and because we have passengers that try to board in bare feet and socks. Number 17.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Number 10, can you add the or adult? So it's consistent with number 9.
Yep, or adult. Perfect. Thank you. Number 17, we eliminate the word will and added may because not all people want the horns honked. We have special instructions. Some people, please do not honk your horn.
Probably 90% of the time, the passenger is waiting for you and sees you coming anyway.
Right. Okay, page 4, eliminating the word contact and adding the word call. And the biggest reason for that is we have people emailing our office staff while the office is closed, and emails are being missed due to staff being out or off. So that's why we added the word call instead of contact. And plus, they have the app available now. They can do it on their own. And that's why I added or make necessary changes on the Rider app. The next paragraph, eliminating that first sentence because the new system allows for more flexibility now. We don't have to be so stringent on these things. So we changed it to pre-scheduled rides must be scheduled in the office Monday through Friday before 5 p.m., which used to be 4, and at least one business day prior to your ride or before 8 p.m. on the app at least one day before. So that's that change to allow more flexibility for our passengers. And then adding the $15 or $15 for the weekend rides for same-day trips. Okay. Next paragraph, talking about the will call trips. I eliminated or unsure if they will need a ride on a certain day to be more federally compliant in order to be following our federal charter service regulation rules. And also added will calls can only be performed during office hours. And the reasoning behind that is because the drivers cannot input that will call information. They have to have their routes set up before. So if they want what's a will call, it has to be during office hours. And again, that allows us to be more federally compliant. I eliminated the next sentence. If you're planning on making more than one stop, that information is just duplicate information, not needed. But we added the $15 for the weekend trips and then eliminated where it says with the transit office. I eliminated that because we also have the app available. The next paragraph, when it's talking about canceling a ride, I added or cancel on the Rider app. And then I also added, eliminated the word call and added cancel because of the app. They don't have to call, they can just cancel. Any questions on that part? Okay. Scheduled trips. Eliminating bullet point 2. And that's because we could be we have more accurate times now with the new system. We don't have to worry about the windows like I talked about before. And then we also eliminated where it says at least 10 minutes before. Just be at your designated pickup point before the pickup time. We don't have to do the 10 minutes anymore because Apple pretty much tell you when and where to be. Okay. Any questions? Page 5, the second to last bullet point. Say-day call-ins, including unscheduled trips for a return trip, and we added and returning for missed rides. And that's in order to be more federally compliant. Right now, we're returning for a missed ride, and they're still getting that advanced fare rate, and that's not meeting our federal regulations. So that's why we're adding that missed ride will be charged the same day rate. Because if we have to go back for a person, that's considered a same day ride then. And then we added that $15. Any questions on that? Okay. No-show policy, adding the last two paragraphs. The first one is in order to be more federally compliant. If a vehicle has to return for a no-show, missed ride, the passenger will be charged at the same rate of $10 or $15 per ride and will have to pay for the original no-show. Again, federal compliance, making sure that we're following those rules.
So it'd be like $10 plus the 3 original, so it'd be $13.
Right. And then the bottom paragraph is we added because we have a lot of no-shows following a previous no-show. So after one no-show has occurred, all future rides will be canceled until contact is made with the office and payment arrangements have been made. So we're trying to help our passengers in a sense with that as well, because if they no-show in the morning and then they have a return trip scheduled, then they're not paying for 2 no-shows. So if they no-show, we're just going to cancel future rides until they contact us and say, hey, this is how we're paying. We missed it, we're sorry. Instead of having no-shows build and build and build. Questions, concerns about that idea? Okay, next page, number 6. Under the seatbelt policy, we added remain seated and wear your seatbelt. And that's just for safety reasons, make sure people remain seated. We do not provide or furnish car seats or restraints. It's surprisingly asked frequently. Well, don't you guys provide the car seat? No, that's your responsibility to provide those things. And then I eliminated the last sentence because that's in the driver handbook and it doesn't really pertain to the passenger requirements. That's more of a driver situation, and that is in their handbook. Under wheelchair and special services, Palace Transit does not furnish wheelchairs, and I added walkers or chairs because, again, those are asked for as well. We also, next paragraph, added that passengers on the lift may not sit on a walker. That's for safety reasons, and it's against everything that the driver's been trained on. And handrails must be used while the lift is in motion. And I eliminated if standing because if the lift is in motion, if you're standing, sitting, crouching, it doesn't matter. You need to be holding onto the handrail for safety reasons. The next change you'll see is I just eliminated, it says if such a condition exists. That's just extra wording, shorten the wording. Any questions? All right. Next one, page 7. Now we're going to talk about our oxygen-dependent passengers. We added to the first paragraph, when communicated with the office before transporting. And we added that in order to have the proper equipment on the bus. So that way the equipment to have these portable oxygen tanks properly secured, they must notify us so we can have that equipment on the bus. We're not showing up and now this bus can't perform the trip because it doesn't have the proper equipment. And then again, we eliminated that that paragraph where it says all drivers assist, because that's also in the driver handbook and in the training. Okay. Next page, 8. We added number 3, if the animal relieves itself on the bus, that service animal can be removed because it's happened. We had a service animal relieve itself on the bus. Okay, the next one, refusing service. This is where I would really like your input on. We added a way to refuse service would be having a past due balance exceeding $4. The reason we're adding this is because we need a consistent policy to follow. We don't have anything currently for our past due balance passengers. Currently, we have 90 people who owe $4 or more. We have a couple people that are out to collections by how much they owe. Our total owed right now is $1,076. That's as of today. And there's a total of 193 people who owe. We need to run this like a business. Same with your garbage. You have to pay to have your garbage taken out. You have to pay to have your water and sewer. We want to run efficiently and not run in the red on these things. So we're trying to come up with a consistent policy, and we thought the $4, which is 2 rides that they haven't paid for, needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I like that it doesn't go beyond that. I think that's a smart idea.
I did kind of prefer the $10 just because if you had a couple, one ride and you don't have money, you have to get to an appointment the next day, that's only one day pretty much. Just my opinion.
But that's why we changed the no-show policy too. If they no-show, we'll cancel, so you don't get charged for the second.
I'm confused. Some places it says you owe $15 for a ride, and some places,
Okay, so your rides that you take every day, your weekday rides are $2 if they're made in advance. If you take a ride on the weekend or evenings or early mornings, it's $3 if you reserve your ride in advance. If you do a same-day ride, it'll be $10 during the weekdays, or it'll be $15 if you take a ride on the weekends.
okay, but what is this? What is the same-day ride?
The same day you call today and you need a ride today.
Oh, okay, I get it. Because you're supposed to make them in advance.
In advance
Yeah.
to comply with the Federal Charter Service
Got it,
regulations.
got it.
Everybody okay with that for refusing
How would
service?
that affect if you've got a same-day ride, you forgot your tokens?
We don't let them board until they pay.
Tell me a little bit more about your situation, Christie.
I've had it where people have needed to get to appointments, not like doctor's appointments. Well, there have been some that have affected doctor's appointments too, because they had an exceeding balance. But if they had $10, before if you had $10 owed, it was, you could still ride. So like if they owed the $4, they could still get to their doctor's appointment back, even though they owed that $4, but that, $4, $5, $6. But this would eliminate that option. So they wouldn't be able to take the bus at all if they owed $4 or more. So they couldn't even ride it with their Medicaid. Even though Medicaid's paying for it, they still can't ride.
We have made exceptions for the Medicaid
Oh, you have?
because those are being paid, yes.
Okay.
So with that,
That's the difference. Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Just, yeah, the Medicaid's my concern is because of the.
Just because those rides are being paid for, we know they're going to be paid for.
okay.
Okay? Thank you. Page 9. We just added weather closures can be found on Facebook, radio, Palace Bus app, and the city website. It is passengers' responsibility to watch for those closures. We just added that as additional information because people ask.
On that other one, can there be an exclusion with Medicaid rides? Because really, the way it says, if they owe $4, they are going to be refused.
It says it reserves the right to refuse service.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Okay.
we,
So they
yeah,
won't try.
yeah. And that's all we have for changes.
Okay, can I go back to that number 4,
On page
3?
3. Okay?
That question of that carry-ons,
Yes.
I'm wondering if some type of language precedence over devices that transport items?
Oh, I like that. Over,
Items?
Well, I thought we
Is that-
dropped devices and we put on just carry-on.
you could say devices that carry items.
Oh, devices that carry items.
Versus personal items, because then you can get into a word match.
I like that. So we'll change it to wheelchairs, walkers, and other passengers will take precedence over devices that carry items. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, carry or transport.
Carry is good.
Okay.
So we're dropping bags?
Yes, we're
We're not
dropping
gonna say
shopping bags.
Carry-ons, we're just going to say devices that carry items.
Yes.
Now we can go on to my favorite one.
But we do need a motion to adopt this.
We need a motion, okay? Let's do a motion
I make a motion.
I'll
to
second.
approve the changes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Let's go roll call, please.
Jay,
Yes?
Penny,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Sarah. Yes. Christie,
Yes.
Jan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Now we can go on to my favorite item that took hours to read.
Yes. It's good information. So the South Dakota Transit DOT is required to do a coordination plan. Before, we were required, I brought my book, to do our own coordination plan, and we update it every 4 years and then provide an annual report to update as well. And we've done that for several years now, but this last year, the state was able to hire a firm, a consulting firm, and the state did a statewide coordination plan instead of us doing each of our own, and they put that all together, so we didn't have to do that this year, which was nice. We did not print this for everybody because it's 300-some pages, but it has been published. It's on the state website. I was going to go through a few pages with you to kind of give you an update on what they talked about for our areas. On page 2.2, chapter 2, it talks about the outreach and planning process. What happened was there was a meeting held in Mitchell at the public library on Wednesday, March 27th from 9:30 to 11, where stakeholders and people involved with the transit programs were invited to attend, and they gave their input and information for the program that was doing the research on this.
It was a very good meeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of information.
It was, I wasn't in attendance, but Andrea said there was some great information that was presented. So thank you for all those that attended that. The next page on 2.3, they talked about the coordinated transportation planning participants, and some of them that came to these meetings were aging programs, community action agencies, counseling services, disability services, elected officials, emergency shelter service programs, healthcare facilities, human service agencies, independent living centers, local governments, local transit systems, mental health providers, school districts, senior independent and assisted living communities, and South Dakota Department of Transportation and veteran organizations. So they had a lot of representation of people that utilize public transportation for these sessions. In section 315 is where they talk about the Mitchell region, and they divided it by different regions. You can see the different regions they had were the Rapid City region, the Pierre region, the Aberdeen region, and the Mitchell region, and then there's sub-regions within those. In the Mitchell region and then the Mitchell area, they talked about the different areas that are served by the transit system, which is Palace Transit. Yankton Sioux Tribe Transit comes here with their membership. Rural Office Community Services Transit transports people from the outlying areas. Freeman Community Transit transports people from their outlying area. People's Transit and River Cities Transit both come through, and they're part of that coordination plan where they pick people up and bring them to Sioux Falls and back. All the information about what we do, their fares, are in the book, in that section. And then if you go to section 418, this is the assessment of the transportation needs. For the Mitchell region, they talked about expanded or improved transportation services. One thing that I highlighted I thought was important, the expanded service area. Stakeholders also mentioned a need for service to employment sites for shift workers or later evening hours. And this is something that we've talked about for a long time. There is a need. We transport a lot of people to employment. It's amazing how many people that go to your early shift work hours, but they have no way for the night shift workers. So one thing we talked about is van pooling, and we're working on trying to get grant funding to do something like that. So I'm glad that was brought up at the meeting. It's something that can be an improved area. And then if you go to section 6.8, this is the strategies for the Mitchell area. There is a page of different strategies. And again, they talked about the van pooling and shift work and different public information for the transit system. And then in section 60.60-40 is again the Mitchell area, and it talks about the high priorities and then your maintaining services, medium priorities. There's a lot of information in that. But some of it we are doing already and have made the changes with the software, especially. We're excited about that. A lot of it is talking about hiring employees. It's a high priority, is getting employees. And then if you have time or if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me on this plan. It's very helpful, and we are fully utilizing it. It's obviously it's something I keep at my desk and I utilize for my tabs.
And if you can't sleep at night, pull that up on the website and you will soon go to sleep.
I remember when they'd asked for the priorities, you know, when I got an email to do that survey or whatever.
Yes.
What the priorities are from that meeting, And even that was like confusing, trying to, okay. So you do a lot with what you do with your job desk.
Yeah.
What you do.
I found it extremely interesting. I've read it twice now, all of it. So it doesn't put me to sleep, Jay.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's go on to the next one then. South Dakota Plan, State Plan on Aging.
So every 4 years, any entity that receives older aging money from the federal government is required to do a 4-year update on their state plan on aging. So the state is held different listening sessions across the state. They held 4 of them. And I attended the one in Sioux Falls this week. And they offered input and advice from different services and programs that receive funding from them. I was very happy to attend this. I feel like we got a lot of information covered because this does affect a lot of our programs that we serve. The biggest one it covers is our nutrition meals program. We talked about funding for that and how it's hard to provide a meal for the $3-some that we get from the state when grocery costs have increased. Our costs have not increased from the state as much as the cost of inflation for groceries have. Talking about how I have a family of 4, a weekly grocery bill can be up to $400. So that's why we talked about how we need additional funding, especially for our nutrition program. Another thing we talked about was the need for more adult day services. Adult day, I think, is very important to keep people in our community and provide those that are living at home or living with others, give them a place to go during the day. So we talked about the importance of that. Another program that we talked about was their learning programs they have and how we participate with Better Choices, Better Health, and we hold those meetings and training courses at the community center and how that's been helpful. And then we also talked about volunteerism. That became a big topic of conversation and how the state should be providing funds for volunteerism for these type of programs across the state. And I addressed how we're fortunate enough in Mitchell to have the Mitchell Volunteer Program and how we're the one-stop shop for volunteerism in Mitchell. And the state is actually going to reach out to me about this and see if this is something we could develop statewide and provide funding for it, because it's important to have people help and provide that resource for people to find where to go. Another thing we talked about is the Dakota at Home program and how that's a good resource to get information for our service providers out and for people that need help. I felt it was a very good listening session. They will have a survey coming out here in September for public comment. When that comes out, we will send that to all of you to put the information in. And then it'll be open, once they put the report together, it'll be out for public comment in October. So it's all coming down the line.
Okay, what about nutrition software?
Well, something kind of exciting and different is the state has put together a plan to do to update their current software that they're utilizing, so that way we can have our meals, instead of using a punch card, you will have a scan card. Did you bring one to show? No, okay. Oh.
It doesn't eliminate
Doesn't eliminate it. Okay, well, they said at first it would. Okay, well, change the plans, we're learning. But to go with the scan system, what it does is it allows a scan to happen, and then the numbers will track automatically into the computer system. Each site will have a laptop provided by the state and a scan bar provided by the state. You want to give more information about what you've learned through entering? Amy's been the one hardworking, entering all the data and information into the system.
As of right now, not saying that in the future it won't be part of how they pay or whatnot. It's kind of every client will have a barcode and they'll have all the card. It's more for our tracking purposes at the moment, but hopefully in the future we can add in the punch cards. We can eliminate that, whatnot. So every client that eats, whether it's in JVCC, Wesley Acres Cathedral, Tripp, Parkston, Mount Vernon, wherever, everybody has to get assigned a barcode. And we'll use it for tracking. So at the end of the month, I don't have to literally input every meal that somebody eats. That'll all be in there by the scanning of the barcodes.
Interesting.
We have scans at each site then?
They will.
Okay.
Yep.
The state's
site will
providing
have
the laptop and the scanner.
Reader.
Yep.
And people can still leave their cards with the
Yep.
on-site person, otherwise that could be a problem.
Okay.
Kind of how it goes.
Yes.
United Way has been helping us.
Yes, so United Way, they're doing their kickoff campaign, and we received funding from them. And the nice part is they are doing Facebook Live videos for their programs that they support. And we happen to have 3 programs that they support, and they did 3 Facebook Lives that they posted on their page. And they went really well, talk about our programs and get the word out. So if you
Well,
haven't
thank you for
seen,
that.
they're on their Facebook page, check them out. I tried to convince Amy to do one, but she wouldn't do one.
Jessica likes that kind of stuff.
I don't know if I like I do it.
Okay, citizen input.
You want to explain, John, what?
Yes, as most of you are aware, there's a issue on the ballot coming up in the November election regarding reduction in the sales tax collection. And I thought it's important that we know how it may impact our committee and group and others. And so I asked Stephanie to maybe make a quick presentation of possible impact to the passage of that.
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Dosher and board members. My name is Stephanie Elwine. I'm the city administrator for the city of Mitchell. As Mr. Dosher said, we had our first budget work session presentation overview. Was that this week or last week? This week. Geez, my weeks are going together. Sorry about that. One of the things that the council focused on or had quite a discussion on is the potential loss of sales tax to the city of Mitchell. You may wonder why that's important. If you don't already know this, sales tax is really how the city funds our operations of everything we do. The majority of our revenue comes in through sales tax. So, for example, this board is overseeing or discussing the policies and programs that occur at community services, which includes Palace Transit, nutrition, the volunteer program, the senior center. That relies on about $300,000 from general fund in order for these services to go forward. So as you can imagine, if the city is looking at a loss in sales tax, that can impact what we have to do moving forward. Some of the discussion has focused on, initially, they told us it was going to be just on groceries, right? So we kind of had that tax calculated. That's about a $1.4 million hit to the city of Mitchell in operations. Legislative Research Council presented to a legislative study panel, and they said because of the broad definition of for human consumption. It could impact more things like gasoline. They talked about tobacco, beauty products, a lot of things for human consumption. If that were the case, they told the state an estimate to use. If you apply that estimate to the city of Mitchell, that's closer to $7 million impact to the city of Mitchell, almost half of the sales tax we bring in. And that's based on the sales tax categories that each community has. So if you could imagine the city of Mitchell losing up to 1.4 is still significant for us. That's 12% of our sales tax collections, but up to 6.9 to $7 million would be significant. As I said earlier, we use sales tax to fund everything we do as a municipality. We have things that we do that aren't a core governmental responsibility, like community service programs, parks, things like that. Obviously, we also fund fire, EMS, our ambulance services, our police operations, snow removal, road repairs, things like that. We're also concerned if the state does see a large sales tax cut, that we will lose some of the funding that we get from state, which actually you guys get a lot of grants, so I don't know how that plays into you guys as well. So we just wanted to make you aware of it so that you know that there's a potential impact out there. The city council has been discussing and trying to plan for, at a minimum, what do we do with a loss of $1.4 million? What do we do if it's even more? That's something you can't plan for because that's major change in operations and services. A lot of people have, I guess the comment I got after Monday city council meeting was, we're told in the ballot language, it says that this is not for municipalities, just for the state. The problem is there's a conflict in state law that says cities can only collect sales tax on something that the state is collecting sales tax on. So there'll probably be a legal challenge that comes up with that. We don't know, but we do know we're prohibited unless we get the permission to do so. So we have received information from South Dakota Municipal League and others who have said, there is the potential that's going to impact us too. So even though the ballot language says it's not, the concern is there's a conflict in state law and what's going to happen as that plays out. Is that about what you wanted me to cover, John? Okay, perfect. If you have any questions, my office is down the hall. Feel free to stop. I know the Mitchell Area Development Corporation is working on some promotional information to just get some information out to the community. I do think a lot of people just in the community don't realize that sales tax is what drives what we do as a city. That pays for our police, our ambulance, our community services, Palace Transit, anything that we do with general fund money, Corn Palace, parks, recreation, really anything in the city budget. That's how we fund it, is through sales tax. The only thing this doesn't impact is, because I've been asked this, is our utility accounts. Water, sewer, garbage, those are all paid by user fees, but it's everything else that the city does, really. So I'm happy to answer any questions. My office is just down the hall. If you want to stop, you're welcome to stop.
I'll put my 2 cents worth in on this thing too. Back in the day, if you will remember, when sales tax on food was put in by the state of South Dakota, it was one of the ploys to keep our property tax values down.
True.
Because much of the things that Stephanie just talked to us about are also funded with property tax, i.e. police, streets, so on. And if you want to keep your property taxes down, a vote no on this one is a good idea. And I'm sorry, it impacts everybody, but everybody needs to pay their fair share. That's my opinion.
I forgot to state my disclaimer. My disclaimer was I'm not telling you to vote for or against. I'm just giving you the information about how this could impact the city of Mitchell, just because we think the public education part is important for the community.
And I guess I'm saying that
You can do whatever you want.
I can do whatever I want to because I'm not an employee of the city.
Exactly.
And I've worked with public entities for all of my working career, including school districts. And this is a big thing that will impact your property taxes if it goes away. That's my opinion. And thank you for listening to it. And I'll throw in another commercial. Don't forget that Twin Rivers Old Iron down by Delmont is having a festival tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, and come and visit us. You will enjoy the things that you see there.
I just want to say also that I'm not sure of the date, but there is a public forum on public radio, TV,
Yep.
and it's at Dakota Wesleyan in the Sherman Center. It's in September, I think. And it tells the pros and cons of all ballot measures. So if you don't know when it is, just call the Governance Center. They'll tell you. I know, but my mind is forgetting things.
Any other commercials? If not, let's go on to department reports and updates.
I found it. It's the 19th.
Thanks, Stephanie.
It's the 19th I found it. This is the Vote South Dakota Forum at 8 p.m.
On
DW Sherman Center
what time? What day?
on Thursday, September 19th.
Yes. Yes, at 8?
8. Palace Transit report shows our ridership and our mileage. We have July posted in here. We are currently working on August because August had 2 different software systems. So we have to manually do those reports.
Then we have the nutrition reports, you have the July and the August. We're down to our projections so far for July and August, and that's mainly due to Parkston being down. They haven't been serving Monday through Friday due to staffing issues, I guess, so we're mainly down because of Parkston issues. And then we also have the volunteer report in there, and it's basically just kind of some places the volunteers have been volunteering in the community.
And then Kim included the JVCC progress report. Talked about some special events they had. They had 401 Create come and do some watercolor paintings, the Rusty Ryerson concert. We also talked about the Wednesday wellness. We had the SDSU extension come, and that was part of that LTSS program for Better Choices, Better Health come and talk about chronic health. Working on some fundraisers, got some quilts. They auctioned a quilt yesterday. I did not get the dollar amount for that yet, sorry. Some pool tournaments, the 50-50 drawing, and bingo, of course. There's bingo tonight. And then she's doing more community outreach. There's the 6-week chronic disease workshop. Again, that's part of the LTSS program. And she got some information out on the JVCC programs on the chamber visitor information on the Everything Mitchell app.
Thank you. Next meeting, tentative date.
November 14th. Right here.
Any other information on this that needs to be discussed at this point in time? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all
you.
for coming.